All right. Salute, y'all. Good morning. We are back in the business. It's been a long time, so we are back doing what we usually do, breaking down, sharing information. Not forcing, not pushing, information on anybody, just sharing. And it is up, to every person to do its own diligent personal research and basically, find out what's the best course, of looking into things. All right. Okay. Good morning. Welcome everybody to the live. Well, it is just mind-blowing. Greetings, Lee. Greetings, everybody. It is just mind-blowing in the 21st century to find out that the people been lied to, right? The lies is beyond imagination. The lies is beyond anything you can imagine. I don't know how to put it, but I would just say, let's just continue to fight against our own personal ignorances and to elevate our level of consciousness, right? Because the things we don't know about ourselves are the things that are being used in order to manipulate us. So, and all throughout this journey of elevating our level of consciousness, we have to basically study the past in order to have the best course of action, because the past basically teaches us on how the system is manipulating other group of people. So they are basically banking on the little things or the big things we do not really know about, or we do not really care about. We tend to ignore. Those are the things they are really banking on it. So we may spend years, months on TikTok talking, but if there's no action, it's just we're just killing times, we're just wasting time, we're just having fun, and then the next day we're back again, shouting, screaming, talking, but there's really nothing changing on the ground. So what's the point of it? What's really the point of shouting, screaming? Oh, we've been treated this way, we've been treated that way. But at the same time, what are we doing individually within our own circle, within our own family? Are we just coming on TikTok to complain, to shout, and to say this, that, and that? We have to take action. We have to take, and the action I'm talking about, it's nothing, it's not about attacking, right? Basically, people is to share information. Just sharing information is the best tool, right? Basically, within our own respective family or circle, you have to target the younger generation and work with them. There's nothing better than that. If we don't do that, then we're just wasting our time on TikTok. I'm telling you the truth. If we do not target the younger generation within our own family, within our own circle, and we think that we're going to come on TikTok and basically, share information and stop at that level, it's not going to go anywhere. So the best course of action is to work closely with the younger generation within your own family, because they know you better than they know anybody they will meet on social media. You know them, right? And it's true that within our family, sometimes there are tension, right? Not everybody agrees with, the views and other things like that. But even if you are able to target one or two younger one, that's a win. One or two, three, it's a win. Do not expect to target all of the younger one within your family. No. And do not try to convince anybody. Don't try to convince or to prove anything to anybody. You're just sharing information. And if it resonates, then the people who were listening will connect to it. If it doesn't resonate, fine, you move on. Because we tend sometimes to prove things, and we want to see others doing the same thing we're doing or believing into what we believe in. No. Just share information and let the people mind look into it. Do not try to convince anybody. So, this Sunday, right? I think, we went live yesterday early in the morning. And, it is amazing how this channel has been reported, right? For showing scientific data, for showing stuff on the screen with scientific facts, but people still find a way to get mad, right? They always try to find a reason. Oh, he said this. Oh, so that offended me. Oh, he said this. It is the truth, but he shouldn't say it. Well, on my channel, whether it pleased someone or not, I will say it, because it is fact, and people deserve to know facts, right? For more than 8 weeks, for more than 60 days, we've been breaking down melanin and the soul. The soul is deeply connected to melanin. And when I say melanin, there's no two types of melanin. There's only one type, right? Because when we look at the etymology of the word melanin, let's do it again, and we will keep on doing it. I am in slide 842. I need to come back here. So let's just look back at some of the etymology, right? It is very important. Let's do this. It should be okay. I can do honey. So let's just look at the etymology of the words here, and you will clearly see how even science can be biased, right? You will see how even science is basically pushing a specific agenda on people. And why are they not gonna do that? Everybody is trying to bring basically benefit on its side. Do you really think if the YTs find a way or to bring things to their benefit, they are not going to do it because they love the black people so much. Hell no. Hell no. No way. Right? So it is up to us to do the work and to really clear things up. Right? So when we say melanin, right there. So in this 21st century, we are being told that, oh, everybody has melanin. Wow. Really? But is it a fact? No, it's not. Because when you look at the etymology of the word melanin, then you can unlock, right, the fallacies and the lies behind, basically the new meaning they have brought into the word, and they are doing this for a specific reason. So someone may wonder, what's the point of debunking that or knowing that? It's huge, it's big, into understanding this. Because the way Africa is being controlled, and the wars, the diseases, right? All we're going through in Africa is tied to melanin. So if we do not understand what it really is, right, we may just be, exploited, within our own eyes, and we will not even be able to notice it, right? So when we say melanin, mel comes from the word melano, and melano in the Greek language means black. I can just stop right there and ask the question, does everybody really have melanin? When the word mel means already black? And then the second word, anin. Anin is a word derived from amini. So why did they choose to find a derivation of amin or amini into replacing it, right, into anin, right? Because knowing that if the non-black people start to call black folks as mel amin, mel amen, mel amun, mel aman, it will totally have a different level, right, of identification being attributed to the black people as divine being. So basically, non-black folk will be calling black folk divine being in their face. So they then decided, no way, we ain't gonna do that. We're gonna find a derivation and replace that amin with anin. So when we say melanin, that's it. It's the black. Anin is the divine black. So does everybody really has melanin? No. Right? So, but if you go to school and you learn about biology and science, they're going to tell you everybody has melanin, and that there are 3 types of melanin: neuromelanin, eumelanin, and pheomelanin. But we've seen that pheomelanin should not even be called pheomelanin. It should be called yellow or red, right? Or yellow or red cyte or something, because it has nothing to do with melanin or the amin or the anin. We've seen that, and we have the equation, right, to back up what we are saying right there. When you say melanocyte, this is another fallacy right there. When you say melanocyte, melano is the Greek word for black. But we are being told that everybody has a melanocyte. Really? When melano means black cell, melano means black and cyte means cell. Melanocyte means the black cell. Contradiction right there. Because to call something a black cell, that thing must be manufacturing something dark brown, right? But this group of people here are not manufacturing anything dark brown or black. Right there. It is yellow or red. This group here manufacture black brown. They have melanocyte. This group here have something else, but it's not a melanocyte. But science is going to push this onto, right? Basically, anybody who goes into Western school in order to have your PhD or your degree or to have that validation, right? You must answer questions the way, Western paradigm basically wants you to answer. But is it fact? No, it's not. So these are the things that we need to clear up with the younger generation, right? We have to let them know this, right? Basically, in order to get your degree, son, you have to answer the question the way the book tells you to answer. But is it a fact? No, it's not, right? And then we need to share this type of information with them. Because the whole manipulation game, colonization has never ended. Colonization, imperialism, right? What we call globalization is the new colonization. It has never ended. It has never ended because it is tied, deeply tied to religion, to melanin, right? And basically, the black man is meant to be enslaved. Religion condones slavery. The Vatican basically condones slavery, right? And it is sad in this 21st century to see black women and black men being part of a belief system that basically enslaved their ancestor. Why? Because a lot of us chose to believe by default. By saying that, if I don't believe and religion happen to be true, I lose. If I believe and religion happen to be true, I win. But if it is false, I lose. But there's a catch. There's a catch. Because religion is indeed false. It's indeed false. Because nothing that comes out of, right? Nothing that comes out of non-solar being in terms of spirituality, right, is fact. Nothing that comes out of non-solar being in terms of spirituality is facts. Zero. Nothing. Do your research. Just do your research. Nothing here is spiritual because there is no solar connection. When you say solar, soul, you take the word soul, S-O-U-L, and you add a R to it, you get solar. Solar. So how do we know? Because we've been saying this and we've been showing facts that the soul is deeply connected to melanin. And you can see that here. I'm not making anything up. The soul is deeply connected to melanin. And when I say melanin, I am specifically speaking about eumelanin. Pheomelanin, we already debunked this, right? There's no such thing as pheomelanin, because pheo, the etymology of the word pheo means what? Clipping. Look it up. One of the etymology of the word pheo means clipping. How the hell in the world Western scientists are going to choose pheo as a prefix? Pheo. Pheo is tied to clipping. Clipping is to cut something out of. So pheomelanin is the cutting of something out of what? Melanin. I'm not making anything up, right? Its fact is etymology based word. So do we have the right to ask ourselves this question? Why they chose pheo as a prefix when pheo means clipping, to cut something out of? And also pheo is tied to the cysteine. The cysteine is the stage in the pheomelanin biosynthesis where sulfur is inserted. So let's look at the equation, right? I may have it somewhere here. Let's see. Let's look at the chemical. So this is slide 252. I need to come back here. Let's look at the chemical equation of pheomelanin biosynthesis, right? I have it somewhere here. So people may wonder, what is all of this about? Yes, all of this is about to elevate the level of consciousness of, right, of the people, because it is clear that the black man and the black woman are being mistreated, and it has been ongoing for thousands of years, right, within our own eyes. So one group of people are giving us the image of being the Messiah, those who are coming to save, the Savior, you know, basically the picture that is being presented, right, is basically the picture of, you know, basically people who, I mean, they look so, I don't know, but let's just look at the equation here. I don't want to, okay, so this is the equation here of pheomelanin biosynthesis. As you can see here, this is the cysteine level, and the cysteine level has sulfur here, sulfur here, sulfur here, and sulfur here. Now, sulfur is responsible for the discoloration, and it says here red blonde melanin. Is there really something called red blonde melanin when the etymology of the word melanin means what? Black, and black anine, black amine, black amine. What is red blonde black amine? You see how when you break the etymology down and you debunk basically these words that do not make any sense. What the hell is the red blonde black anine? Because mel, M-E-L, comes from melano in Greek, and it means black. Anine is a word derived from amini or amin, amun, amon, amin, right? All connected to what? To the sun. Anine, right? The hidden one. And whenever a Christian, a Muslim, close the prayer, they end up with amen, Amin, Amen, Amun, Amon. They close the prayer with that. So to call the black woman or a black man, hey, what's up, my mel Amun, my mel Amen, my mel Amin, right? No, they said, no way, we are not going to call those people mel Amun or mel Amin. We're going to find a word, right, which is Anin, and we're going to shovel that in here. Now, when we say red, blonde, melanin, you clearly see the fallacy. You clearly see the lies. Because mel alone already means black. How can someone have the red, blonde, black, anin? Wow. You see how even science can be flawed. And that's what I'm saying. It's not, like, when we say science, don't get fooled by, oh, everything in science is fact. No. There are things that they've been basically inserted, things like this that do not make sense, right? Now, when you look at the element sulfur, sulfur is the prime element or atom of cysteine. Cysteine is the stage here responsible, right, where we have the insertion of one atom of sulfur. Where does the sulfur comes from? Well, we studied this, right? The sulfur here, we know where it comes from. It comes from a hormone, right? It comes from a hormone. We spoke about the alpha-MSH, the ACTH, and the sulfur here comes from the ACIP. Yes, there's the ACIP and the HBD3. Those sulfur comes from there, right? Then you can clearly see here, when we say pheomelanin, pheo, clipping, cutting something out of, mel is black, and anin is the black amun, the hidden black, dark matter. But why pheo before it? This do not make sense, right? Because if you also look at the switching mechanism of the dark pigment, right, production here, there's a switching mechanism here. This is the switch, the MC1R gate, right? This is where the beauty happened. This is where the ACTH or alpha-MSH mingle at the gate of MC1R to trigger or to instruct the melanocyte to manufacture the dark brown pigment. So when we say pheomelanin, right? When we say pheomelanin, it do not make sense, right? It does not really make sense, right? These things needs to be clear up. These things needs to be clear up here, because even science is hiding, right, some level of information here, which we have been debunking and exposing here, right? Because understanding this will help us to understand better who we are dealing with in terms of geopolitics, trade. It would basically provide more information on the state of mind of who we're dealing with and who are those coming on the continent. I've been doing this. I've been literally interrogating anybody non-African within the motherland for the past 3 weeks. I will see a European and I will approach him and I will like, sir, I would like to know the reason why you are here, right? Why are you here? What are you doing here? What kind of work you're doing here? And I want to know if you are doing something good for my people on the continent of Africa, right? I question them. It's the same thing happening here, right? When you go, in Europe or in the Americas, They ask you these questions indirectly in such a nice way. You will not even notice that you being interrogated, right? You will have a beautiful big smile in the face, and he will land with a question. What brings you here, my friend? Right? We have to do the same, y'all, because it is sad. It is really sad, to see beverages, water. Let's just take water. Water in Africa, bottled water, they're being adding sulfite or sulfates into water. But the people in Africa, right, most of the people do not know about these elements and what these elements can do in the body. We have a lot of beverages in Africa with a lot of, preservatives, sulfites, things like that. The people are ingesting that, not knowing what it is. So we in the diaspora, what are we doing to help them? What are we doing to help them? Just imagine pheomelanin being responsible for the discoloration here and being inserted into medicine. Yes, even medicine on the continent. A lot of them contain cysteine. Nobody asks any question. Nobody wants to know what is in it. Try to bring some traditional medicine from Africa into the America or Europe and try to sell it. You will see what will happen to you. You will get deported. But they can easily bring medicine into the continent, pretending to be the savior and helping the people, but it's causing more damage. It's doing more damage than good. And we have the data, we have the facts for it. I can show you the data, right, from the website called Statista. It's mind-blowing. So, the real war is not in the battlefield. It is in our daily life, 24/7, right? 24/7. It's right there within our own eyes, to the point where it's becoming not noticeable, but it is there. So this is basically the fallacies of basically the word pheomelanin. It do not make sense because we do have a switching mechanism. The switch is right here, right? This is the switch right there. This is the switch. Here, the melanocortin 1 receptor called MC1R is the switching mechanism. When the alpha-MSH or the ACTH binds to it, eumelanin is triggered, right? Production is triggered. Look at this one here. The MC1R receptor here, we are told, is switched off, right? This is a gate, right? Let's say if eumelanin 1, if not 0. So we have a 1 here and we have a 0 here. We have a gate, a Boolean, right? A Boolean, value, 0 or 1, open or close, close, open. So we are told here that eumelanin is manufactured if it is open, and it is not if it is closed. We see the X here, right? Gate is closed, gate is switched off, so there will not be any eumelanin production. But how come we ending up with a pheomelanin, something that has melanin in it? No, it does not make sense. It does not make sense here. So the scientific community is basically playing with people, with people's mind right there. Why? Because this field also connects all the way to what? Adam Kadmon. Yes, Adam Kadmon, the Adam in your Bible, the Adam you heard about it in the Bible was tied to sulfur. Yes, was tied to theology, theos, all of them tied to sulfur, right? All of them tied to sulfur. Now, let's get back to the solar stuff. So far, there is no question and no argument on whether or not black people are solar beings. Whether you want it or not, whether you disagree or you agree with it, the facts is the fact, right? The fact is the fact, and it cannot be changed. You may disagree with us being solar beings, but it cannot be changed, because this is just the way we've been, right? We've been made, right? So we're going to look at the solar inscription here. I'm looking for another equation which I can find. 842. Let's go to, let's take it here. I can find it probably somewhere here. Um, 842. Okay, let's go back down here. Melanin, the dark brown pigment, is heavily tied to the ANKH. The ANKH is the symbol of melanin, and we broke this thing down. It's the substance that preceded any sort or any form of creation. Even the ANKH, you are not going to find this in any ancient Egypt hieroglyph dictionary. They know it, but they are not going to put it out. You have to do the work. You have to dive into it in order to see why the ANKH was abandoned. The ANKH was abandoned by non-solar beings. After invading Egypt, right, the ANKH was not working for them. Because even spirituality is tied to melanin. Yes, some level of spirituality is tied to melanin. You cannot vibrate at certain frequency if you lack melanin. Nothing to offend anybody, right? No racism, no discrimination, no division, but it is a fact. And we are not just going to say things to please people who are listening, right? Because we want to sound good in people's eyes. I don't have time for that. I don't do that, right? High level of spirituality is deeply tied to melanin. If you don't have melanin, you are not going to experience certain level of spirituality. And even the afterlife, life after life, is tied to melanin again. Yes. So when we talk about the soul, again, the soul is deeply tied to melanin, right? And all throughout these lives on melanin, we have been trying to unlock the soul. Where is the soul located at, if we have one? Right? It was amazing, right, to basically touch into different line of thoughts from different, scientists, philosopher, people who thought that the soul was within the heart, the soul was within the brain, the soul was within the pineal gland, the soul over here, over there, the ori, right, the Yoruba ori, your personal orisa, right? So the soul, it's something that is not detectable by any instrumentation, but mathematically we know it is there, but it's not touchable, it's not catchable, right? Science has been for many centuries try to capture or to basically trap the soul, right? The soul can be manipulated, the soul can be altered, but it cannot be trapped, like trapped in the box. So if you take someone's brain and you box it, you put it into an enclosure, you are not going to trap the soul of the person, because it is not, you cannot trap it, but it is there, right? So we've been breaking down the symbol here, which is the sieve. This is the sieve. As you can see, you have 4 parallel lines, right? You have a circle or a sphere with 4 lines, right? And each level here, right, each level of the cake or the hemisphere is a level of weaving, right? This, we are being told, right, by ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs that this is the end symbol, right? The zigzag, the up and down, but it's just more than that. Once we study the Dogon, this is the weaving of quantum particles into making matter. This is a weaving process, the building blocks of life. The weaving of quantum particles into matter. This is the first stage of the weaving here. Second stage, third, fourth stage, weaving, right, of quantum particle or invisible matter into physical matter. Someone may say, oh, how can you prove invisible into turning invisible, or imaginary into physical? Well, I have the same question if you understand complex number, simple complex number, the real part and the imaginary part, right? Now, even in physics, we speak of, right, imaginary energy. Invisible energy is, right, a physical concept. When you study relativity and you study with the introduction of the real and imaginary part, right, of basically forming a complex number or a complex equation. The human body is a complex, right, is a complex matter. It has a physical matter and an imaginary or invisible matter, right? So once you start using invisible and imaginary out of science, people say, well, you cannot prove it. But even in science, we do have those concepts, and there's no problem, right? Because it is Western science, so we can deal with imaginary and invisible the way we perceive it. But if you go outside of Western science and you speak of invisible and imaginary, then we have a problem. You see how crazy that can be, right? Now, I wanted to look at this equation here. Let me look at, where did I put it? It should be somewhere around here. You see that? We broke down the quantum reversal of soul energy. This is a scientific paper, right? And we've been talking about imaginary energy. What? Imaginary energy. Wow. Uh-oh. But once we start mentioning imaginary or an invisible particle being woven into matter, then people start to have a problem, because it is outside of Western paradigm, right? If you want to talk about invisible and imaginary, it has to stay within Western paradigm, which is absurd, right? Because there's really something outside of Western paradigm, right? But they don't want us to dive into it. Instead, we will be given the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah. Oh, just believe into these books. You know, don't deal with science. Let us deal with it, right? We're going to take your Ifa. We're going to take your Bakongo cosmogram knowledge, right? We're going to take the Dogon knowledge, right? And we're going to make you a beautiful cell phone and a computer, and you can have fun with it. Just keep on praying. Keep praying. And let us do the work, right? Keep praying, and we're going to give you the tools, the computer and the cell phone, to really dive into those biblical verses. And then you will have the eternal life. That's what is happening. So we really have to dive into science. We have to dive into science big time, because our spirituality is science, basically. And the science of today that makes computer and cell phone is basically was basically taken out of black spirituality. 100%. And I have the fact. I posted some video on Ifa. Go check it out, and you will clearly see how the computer science basics and knowledge was taken out of African spirituality. Go check it out, right? The Bakongo cosmogram right here is deeper than anything you can think of. This cosmogram here explain even the Kemet creation story, right? The Kalunga River, the Noon. Look at that, the water of the Noon, and look at the up and down and the zigzag. The water, the primordial water, out of which the first mound rose. On top of the first mound that rose out of the Noon, Atum was created. And this mound here and this Noon here are encircled or surrounded by the Octoad, the 8 primordial forces, which are the 16 primordial sign of Ifa. Bakongo cosmogram and Ifa spirituality or Mbwiti or voodoo, all of them meet in one place. But they're trying to tell us, oh, they're different, they diverge, they are not the same. But they are the same. Deep stuff. The 4 sons of Horus, right? Let me see if I have the 4 sons of Horus sitting on top of the lotus, right, represent the 4 cardinal points. And those 4 cardinal points are nothing other than the 4 cardinal point you see in Yoruba spirituality with Eshu, Obatala, Shango, right? The 4 sons of Horus, the 4 cardinal point, right? So we broke this thing down. This is the paper. This was a mind-blowing paper. Quantum reversal of soul. You might, after reading this paper, you will not believe you're reading a scientific paper. But it is written by PhDs, right? Physics department, right? And they are touching into the soul energy, right? So we read this paper, but it was mind-blowing. So where is that? Okay, here, there we go. Now, whether you want it or not, if you are black and your body produces the dark brown pigment, you are a solar being. If you disagree, can you tell me, or can you tell us how, right, your body prevents the UV penetration? The only way your body will not accept any UV penetration is if you are using certain sunscreen, right, or taking some type of medicine to basically destroy the inner part of the melanocyte. Yes, skin bleaching is basically unaliving the inner part of your melanocyte. The melanocyte, even when we pass away, did you know the melanocyte is still alive? The melanocyte is one of the most stable cells in the universe, even after we pass away. So basically, the black person do not really decay at certain level because the melanocyte in the black body almost never decay. It's the most stable cell. It stays alive within the rocks, the soil, the trees. It is a substance that do not decay, and it can resist high level of temperature. So when we talk about black people, because there is such a division these days on TikTok, right? You already know about it. We look the same, but we end the same. The motherland is India, America. We never been to Africa. We have nothing to do with Africa. We have a different type of melanin, right? I've been in those debates, y'all, and I got out of it with so much headache. So much headache because you're trying to explain something scientifically and break it down so that people can understand. But some people just chose to believe anything. They are not using any common sense. They are not using any critical thinking, zero discernment. It looks like someone showed up on TikTok and said, guys, we need to have this train of thought going forward. And some people really did not question anything. And they're just like, we're going to just stick with this story here because it makes us feel good about ourselves. But is it really fact? No, it's not. Because those who are saying that, well, we may look the same, but we end the same. We don't have the same melanin running in through our vein. This one here made me think twice. This is what they've been saying. We do not have the same melanin running into our vein. And I'm like, this is the narrative of non-black people usually. This is the type of narrative we've been hearing during apartheid, during many thousands of years of slavery, colonization, we've been hearing specific group of people having those narratives. But today in the 21st century, we're seeing a specific group of black folk, and they are not even claiming to be black, right? Copper color people basically saying that, well, we are not really the same. We are, basically the same narrative the slave master had a few centuries ago, right? Now, I've been asking, so how can you prove that this mechanism here do not happen within copper color people or so-called black Indian American? They love that. They love to be called the black Indian American, right? No answer. Zero answer. Nothing, right? Because the movement they are doing, they are into it, is basically meant to slow the consciousness awakening process, right? It's being slowed down with those type of rhetorics. If you see for how many years on TikTok those group of people been having the same debate. We are not African. We don't come from Africa. America is the motherland. It has never changed for 2 years. Yet those topics, when I scroll through TikTok, they are talking about the same topic every day, and they always have to have Africa on the screen in order to have viewers. They always have to say something mocking or showing, children in Africa that I'm being, with no shoe, no clothing. I used to be like that when I was younger, walking around with no shoe, no shirt off, chilling under the sun, raining, rain. I loved it. I loved it. And just few weeks ago, I was in Africa. I enjoy walking around with no shirt off, right? Shirt off, no shoe, right? Walking in the field, everywhere, basically around my neighborhood, just like we used to do when we were younger. And it was just fine, no problem, right? So the level of division we are seeing within black people is due to the lack of consciousness, lack of understanding who we are, and not understanding how melanin works. Because those who are solar being, right? The solar being basically manufacture melanin. But today we have a movement that comes in and try to split and dismember the dismemberment of melanin into, right, 14 pieces, right? And the mission here is to try to reassemble the pieces and hopefully resurrect melanin based on the mystery of the Orisa. The mystery of the Orisa, not of Osiris, because Osiris is a falsification of the Yoruba Orisa based on the metaphysical conception of the Ori. And the number 8, the number 7 in Yoruba, on CBD, in CBD, the number 7 in CBD is Asa, deeply tied with the Orisa, right? And the number 8, Asa, right? The number 8, Asato, I'm sorry, the number 8, Asato, right? Deeply tied to ACTH or ISIS, right? So we are talking here about solar being. And if we do not understand how the environment that sustain life, that basically keep us alive on a daily basis, that allow photosynthesis, the plants to grow, the plants to produce the fruit. If we do not understand how those physical things we see with our own naked eye works, how can we pretend to know who the Creator is? How can you pretend to know who the Creator is when you cannot rely on the physical things happening within yourself? In your own eyes, the sun rising every morning. And the sun is basically synchronized to your pineal gland. In the morning, the sun, right, when the sun rises, the brain through the pineal gland secretes serotonin. And when the sun sets, when obscurity is detected, the pineal gland secretes melatonin. Wow, isn't these information enough to understand and to clearly see the connection with the sun before even going to the Creator? Because we don't directly see the Creator, right? Nobody ever seen the Creator. But can we start to rely with the physical before getting into the invisible? No, people want to go straight to the invisible, they want to bypass the physical, and they just want to get into believing the things that they cannot physically relate with, right? So it is very, very important, to understand the basics, right? The basics on how our body works. And we do not need any PhD. We do not need any master degrees or any sort of degrees to understand these things. Don't get intimidated by the diagram, the equation. This is nothing. You just have to put yourself and have a state of mind of trying to understand, right? We started these slides, right, by just breaking this down one after another and looking into it and reading scientific paper. There's no magic into this, right? It's very straightforward. You just have to put yourself, right, into a mode of trying to make use of your common sense, critical thinking, and discernment. Those are the three things we need in life. The rest is basically is nothing. The rest is really nothing. If you apply those three things in everything you do, I guarantee you will get somewhere, right? You question everything. You need to critically analyze. You cannot just get one source and be like, oh, because it's written in the book, it must be fact. No, it's not always a fact. It's not because it's written in the book, but we have to critically analyze the information by comparing it with other sources, by finding possibly other sources that actually goes against the claim, right? And then we have to use common sense and discernment in order to clear things up. Because understanding these things here will clearly put us in a different level of understanding who we are dealing with on the continent of Africa. But our people do not have this level of information, right? So the diaspora has to do the work Because those coming in the continent, they don't really care about people being unalive. What you see in the Congo, in Sudan, in the Sahel, right, is nothing compared to the level of atrocity happening on the continent. What you see in the Congo, in the Sudan, is just a distraction. There is a bigger picture of a silent war, right? Silent war with quiet weapon. A silent war with weapons that do not make any sound. And this basically would put us, in the better position to start questioning anything and everything coming to our plate. The medicine entering the continent, the food full of preservatives that melanin do not like. Melanin do not like preservatives. Melanin do not like preservatives. It must be it must be organic. But if you see even the water, the beverage full of preservatives, of sulfates, right? The medicine, even the medicine that is supposed to do good to the people, is actually harming them. And they've been saying that, you see how the Western world picture itself? They picture themselves as being the savior or the good Samaritan, but they are the same one causing the problem, right? It's like someone coming in your face, right? It's like someone coming and stabbing you in the back, and while you turn around to see who is stabbing you, he comes in the front and say, "I'm here to save you. What happened?" Someone is stabbing you in the back. You turn around, you're trying to face the person stabbing you, right? That person finds a way to go in the front and smile at you with a beautiful smile, a big smile, and show some sign of, a concern, like the person is trying to help you, is coming to town to save you, right? That's exactly what the Westerners are doing in Africa. When you see places like the Sudan, the Congo, where innocent people are being unalive, right? And then you see UNICEF, right? You see those NGO, non-governmental organization showing up, but they are the same who caused the problem through a different institution. So the key here is to make use of one of the rule of Noam Chomsky. Create a problem and then coming to offer a solution. Let's just read this one. This is a good one here, right? Sulfuric acid spray in the atmosphere is a climate intervention technique called geoengineering that involves releasing sulfur dioxide into the upper atmosphere to create sulfuric acid clouds. Wow. Sulfuric acid cloud. Sulfuric acid cloud generated by sulfuric acid being sulfur. Sulfuric acid, sulfur being or spraying the atmosphere to cause sulfuric acid cloud. The sulfuric acid destroy the life of a melanocyte. The internal capacity of the melanocyte to manufacture the dark brown pigment is being damaged and destroyed by salt, right there. And the sulfuric acid gas is responsible for the discoloration of this flower. But luckily, this flower is put into a dark, obscure environment, and after 24 hours, the flower gets its color black from this to that. You see how beautiful even night obscurity does on melanin after eating the things that we eat that causes dysfunction in the melanocyte. Then at night, when we go to sleep in darkness, things are being restored as if it was magic. The universe, the cosmos, waves are being absorbed by melanin and restoring the black body into normal. But now it's not enough. So after introducing sulfur into our food, into our beverage, now we have to spray the cloud. The cloud must be sprayed because it's not really acting fast on melanin. So maybe the sulfuric cloud will have a bigger effect into altering, right, melanin. But what is it really behind this? What is it really behind this program here? Right? It goes on to say, these clouds reflect solar radiation. Wow. Why? Why is it they want to reflect solar radiation? Because they are not solar being. They are not solar being, meaning SOULAR, not just SOL, but SOU. Put a U between the O and the L. Solar being. Melanin feeds and absorbs UV radiation. But why is it this group of people are going to reflect the solar radiation back into space? Because this group of people are not solar being. They do not have that substance that absorbs UV. So now Mother Earth is being turned into a sulfur-based planet, because sulfur is going to discolor and to alter photosynthesis. Plants, the soil, the ocean are going to become more acidic, right? Now, which can help cool the planet? Why cooling the planet? Okay, so it looks like this group of people have a problem with the planet temperature. But the planet has been like that, right, over the course of millions of years. So this means that this group of people must not have been around at certain time in the past. This is what we call reading with critical thinking and common sense. Cooling the planet. So why is it only in the 21st century that cooling a planet becomes important for this group of people? And offset the effects of global warming. Global warming. In Africa, we don't really feel global warming. And I don't personally feel any global warming, to be honest, right? And then they're saying caused by greenhouse gases. Global warming caused by greenhouse gases. Who is causing the greenhouse gases? It's the same people spraying. The same people spraying are the one causing greenhouse gases. So they're basically creating a problem here, and they come offer a solution, which is to spray. and spraying reflects solar radiation. Now, right here, if you pay attention, you will understand why even religion was altered. Did you know what we call Christianity today was a solar-based religion? It was a religion based on the sun. Look at the birth, the so-called birth of Jesus Christ. It's the solar birth, the year of the sun being born on December 25th at the winter solstice. Right? So you see how the non-solar being took a solar religion and turned it into, right, a personification of a pheomelanated or a sulfur-based being. And you're seeing the planet being turned into sulfur. The sulfur here is tied to theology, pheomelanated being, right? This is an agenda. This agenda here is big. This is huge. This has been spreading over the course of many centuries. This here gives you a clue on the agenda, right? The agenda is to turn the planet into a sulfur-based environment, because the solar radiation here basically is destroying non-melanated being. Not only solar radiation, but also the cosmic rays is damaging, right, and impacting at the bigger rate, right, the so-called pheomelanated being. When you look at this equation here, right, you have a clear, good picture here. So basically here we know this is a fallacy, right? Melanocyte for non-black do not make sense, but we're going to deal with it. But you get it. Within the melanocyte of non-black people, look at that. There is no activity. There is no life. There is no movement. There is no solar penetration. There is no solar transcription. Within the black people, we have solar, right? We have solar transcription. We have genomic stability. This UV here, or this photon, right, is encoding and writing messages in the core of our gene, and it has been providing genomic stability. We read it from a scientific paper. Genomic stability right there. But there is no genomic stability here at all. No genomic stability. So turning the planet into a sulfur-based environment is basically done by the pheo people, sulfur-based people. And religion at its inception, when you look at ancient Kemet, it was based on the sun, the course of the sun, right? Through Horus, the sun god. It was all solar-based. Amun, Atum, the Aten, it was all solar-based. And it got changed into a so-called Jesus Christ. Now, we're going to make a slight deviation here. Let me see here if I can access this. Give me a second here. I've been having some issue with this. Okay, let me see. I think I can connect here. Now, we're going to make a slight deviation, right? And the deviation we're going to be making is just to show you a small example of how black people in the 21st century who are claiming Hebrew Israelites is just nonsense. Why claiming a copy of the original, right? So someone who's black and who claims Hebrew Israelites, right, or even Muslim, you are claiming a copy of the original, or a fallacy, or a lie built basically. I couldn't connect. Let's see. Yeah, I couldn't connect to this network here. What's going on? Give me a second here. So basically what I wanted to show you is, maybe I can just write it on the screen. I have it here, but we're going to come back to it. Now, talking about solar being, right? If you did not know, so I'm going to put that here in a few words. Let's paste this here. Now, I'm going to post the book also in the Telegram group here. But what I'm trying to show you is the etymology of this word here, right? It actually came, right, from a this one, the IU, or the IU, the AU, or the EUs, right? And in ancient Kemet, in ancient Africa, right? In ancient Africa, it should be this way. Let me put the arrow on this side. In ancient Africa, these people were known, so they turned this one today as this word, right? This is what they turned it into it today. But in ancient Africa, this group of people here were known as those, right, amongst those who come, among those of Ra. Okay, let me write this here. Among those of Ra. Amongst, right, those of Ra. Now, what is Ra? Ra is basically the sun god, right? So we basically have this group of people who were well known in ancient Africa, or ancient Kemet, and they were black people, right? Because you cannot tell me how a non-black people is going to worship the sun. Non-black people cannot. If you see non-black people who worship the sun, they did not know what they were doing, right? If you see non-black people who worship the sun, they don't know what they're doing. Once they found out the key of this inscription here, penetrating only the black people, and basically the sun destroying non-black people inner level of skin, then they turn away from it. They start demonizing sun worship. Then the so-called Son of God, or Horus, got turned into Jesus. And those of Ra, the AUs, IUs, or EUs, got turned into JEWS. Right? That's the evolution right there. And these people were solar beings. And when I say solar, let me write it this way, right? Solar, right? Solar, like that. And let's put this one, right? Solar. Not just S-O-L-A-R, but S-O-U-L-A-R, solar being. See that? So, and another word, right, is the KRST, right? Crust, right? Crust is a hieroglyphic, right? Is a hieroglyphic word, is a hieroglyph. Is a Kemet, right? Is a Kemet hieroglyph, right? Kemet hieroglyph, right? Which means anointed. I'm telling you, y'all, and I'm going to give you the source. I have the book, and my computer cannot just get on the internet for now. Look at that. The KRST, we can find a hieroglyph for it, is an ancient Kemet hieroglyph that means anointed, and the same people, aka Ixos, right? Right? Turn it into CHRIS. So when people are claiming this to be the Christ, there's one on TikTok called, I think it's Yajuda. Yajuda said, no one can teach the scripture but only him as the Christ. He's a Christ on earth. There are many people claiming to be Christ, right? But when I see a black man claiming this and not knowing where this come from, or a Hebrew Israelites claiming the fallacy and the falsification of basically ancient black people, right? They are basically validating and acknowledging the fallacy and the lies. They are bringing more credit. They are basically giving more credit to the lies. And the people in Israel, they love it. They love to see black people claiming their religion, right? They love it. That's why they're making sure that, they basically keep doing what they're doing. And they are ready to finance black community who embrace the fallacies and the lies, right? All of this is connected to melanin. We can see basically at the inception, right, melanated folk, right, starting this process or belief system, and along the way the invaders came in and basically turn it, right, or personified the so-called mythology into biblical figure such as Moses, David, Solomon, people who did not really exist. And we're going to break that down. And all of this is connected to melanin. So understanding how melanin works allows us to basically debunk even the so-called Bible, Quran, or Torah. The Torah, the Bible, the Quran are based on ancient African spirituality books. But does that make the Bible, the Quran, and the Torah the truth? No. And people, a lot of black people always make this mistake on TikTok saying that, oh, the Bible is ancient Africa spirituality, so we should embrace it. The Quran is ancient Africa. No, it has been altered. It's not the same. It's not the same. They took something and they altered it and cook it into a different soup and brought it back to you. Is that the reason why we have to embrace it? No way. No. Right? So all of this is tied to melanin, deeply tied to melanin. And we can clearly see the solar being, spirituality being tied to the sun. And later on, when you even look at, let's see if I can find that biblical, there's a biblical verse that basically says that God is our protector. It's a verse about the sun. I presented it earlier, but unfortunately my computer is having issue getting on the internet. But it is a verse that basically provides, explain, right, the sun. A verse, I'm telling you, a biblical verse that basically state that, right, God is a protector, or bringing protection and stability, balance, right? But when we look at this diagram scientifically, we see the genomic stability. We see the protection here being provided by the UV from the sun, from the light. So we basically see a biblical verse getting inspired from a scientific fact, and there's a lot of that, all right, in the Bible, right? So I was in slide 842. So let's go back to 842 here. 842. In addition to this, the pineal gland, like we've seen and we already spoken about this, is the image of the physical external sun to your body, is your pineal gland. Because when the sun rise, right? When the sun rise, your internal pineal gland secretes serotonin. When the sun sets, your internal pineal gland secretes melatonin. So basically, we have a healthy body, a healthy black body is synchronized to sunrise, to sunset, to the cycle of the sun, cycle of the moon, cycle of the cosmos, the universe. Our body, a healthy black body, is synchronized to the universe, basically, right? And I had almost a 2-week messaging and exchange with someone I think is in the scientific community in one of my videos. And we've been exchanging, going back and forth, but he never really answered my questions. He provided a lot of information that we already know, we read here, right? And just look at this diagram here and just use common sense and critical thinking here. Let's start at point A, UV exposure, the sun. And let's look at, point B, which is melanin production. Pay attention. Pay attention. This is why reading or studying with common sense, critical thinking, and discernment is very important. And you will see the point of it here. Right? Now, UV exposure. The keratinocyte, right? This should be R, keratin. The skin layer is a sensor. It senses sunlight. So through neurotransmitter, message is sent to the brain, right? Message is sent to the brain. Basically, the brain is going to manufacture the alpha-MSH hormone. Now, this skin layer here must be the skin layer of a black person, but the diagram here does not say it. But we clearly see that here, right? Why? Because we have the alpha-MSH hormone being produced here, and it's going to move on. Give me a second, guys. I need to answer this phone call. I will be right back. Okay, so pay attention here, right? UV exposure. The skin behaves like a sensor, right? It detects UV. Now, not all type of skin detect this UV here, number one. So this must be a black person's skin layer, right? Because this one here, right, we know how it operates. We're going to get to it. Then a message is sent to the brain to manufacture the alpha-MSH hormone. Knowing that this is a black skin layer, this alpha-MSH here is secreted only by the person who has this black skin layer. Because once this alpha-MSH hormone is secreted, the MC1R melanocortin-1 receptor, melanocortin-1 receptor loves to mingle with the alpha-MSH and ACTH. There are two specific hormone that loves to mingle with the MC1R. And this whole process here will trigger transcription, encoding, right? UV penetration, right? UV penetration right there, and instruct the production of the dark, right there, of the dark black brown pigment, right? So this must be the skin layer of a black person. For non-black folk, there is no alpha-MSH. There is no alpha-MSH hormone, because if it was present, it would have bind with the MC1R. So the skin layer must not trigger the production of this hormone here, because if it does, then there will be dark pigment production here, but there are none. So that means that only black people brain produce the alpha-MSH. Not all beings produce the alpha-MSH, because if the alpha-MSH is present here, it will bind automatically here, because the alpha-MSH is agonist to MC1R, right? But instead, the ACIP will come here and bind with the MC1R. So let me show you the ACIP, right? The ACIP stage. This is very simple. You just have to to look into the information later, right? Don't be intimidated by the equation and things like that. We've been reading a lot of scientific paper here. So let me find a better illustration here. No, this is not it. So let me go back to 1142. 11. All right. So just a second here. Okay. Now, like I said, alpha-MSH bind at the MC1R gate and trigger all this process here all the way to solar penetration, all the way to the core, to the nucleus of the black people only. Now, for non-black people, you see that we don't have alpha-MSH, but we have ACTH, acid inverse agonist. Wow, look at that. And the gate is closed. There is no melanin production here. No melanin production, no solar penetration. This here explains a lot of behavior. This here explains a lot of behavior, such as these one here. Blocking or reflecting or making clouds, sulfur-based clouds to reflect solar. Why? Why reflecting solar radiation? When the plants, the environment, in the natural habitat, this Mother Earth, right, needs the sun to mingle with the Earth surface the way it was meant to be naturally. But instead, we have sulfur-based being trying to turn the planet into a sulfuric acid planet. And the reason behind this is they are saying that it's going to help cool the planet. But who created global warming in the first place? The same people spraying. And the same people again who brought the Bible and the Quran to the black people, basically, right? A theo being, sulfur-based again. Right? Now, the goal here and the aim here is not to cause or to create any division, but is to get to understand and to know better who we are dealing with. It's very important to know who we are dealing with and the state of mind of the people we are cohabiting with, right? You cannot live in the same house with someone you don't know. You cannot live in the same house and have peace of mind with a stranger. Africa, for many centuries, has been hosting a lot of strangers, right? Who are basically polluting the continent with plastics, fake medicine, polluted water, contaminated medicine and water. And I have the data to show you that. Someone may say, oh, I'm spreading, I'm saying a lot of, man, look at this one, man. And come tell me in the chat if I'm spreading misinformation. This is from Statista. This is just one out of many data out there. And this is only in the small region called the Sahel. Now, if we have to look into the whole continent, right, data, and if we have to include the Caribbean, and if we have to include the America and see how the black people with medical apartheid have been treated, I'm telling you, we are basically witnessing within our own eyes what we call the silent weapons for quiet wars. Silent weapon, quiet wars. It is happening within our own eyes to the point where it's not even noticeable. With state-of-the-art mechanism and techniques, right? You don't notice it, you don't see it. And they are picturing and basically presenting themselves as good Samaritan when they are in the continent of Africa. The image some people may have on the continent is, those are doctor without borders, blue helmets, UNICEF. They're looking for displaced people, orphans, bringing food to the poor. But who are those who caused the problem and the situation in the first place? It's the same people pretending to be bringing help. The same ones. The data is just mind-blowing. And I recommend this book here, right? Some people been saying that, basically is, misinformation, is conspiracy. But what I usually do is when I read something, I try to get the facts. And I've been finding a lot of facts to the claims in the book. Is the book still conspiracy? Hell no. Right? Behold a pale horse. This guy here is revealing mind-blowing agenda all the way to the exploitation and the medical situation of the continent of Africa. The population. Our population must be controlled because we are multiplying too damn fast. Right? At some point, we used to populate the whole world for many, many, many thousands of years. The whole planet in all continents was black. But where have we gone? We have been pushed back and reduced to sub-Saharan Africa within our own eyes. But the agenda extend and expand within thousands of years. That's why within our eyes, when you look at only the data for one generation, you may not notice anything happening. But once you plot the data within thousands of years, then you start to see the trend. You start to see what is really going on. How come the most richest continent in the planet have the poorest? When I say poorest, I'm not talking poorest in terms of, because we still be the richest one in terms of greatness, in terms of even health, right? Because we are still, regardless, the healthy people, even though we are being, things are being introduced into our diet, right? We have the most natural resources, but those natural resources are basically being stolen. How? Through our leader, which are basically puppets of the Westerners. And those puppets are controlled by secret society, such as the Freemason, the Rotary, and all those secret societies are the one basically choosing and selecting who is going to run as president in those African countries, with the exception of the AES or Mali, the coalition between Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. Those are the only 3 countries that are not under the rule of the Vatican, that are not under the rule of the Freemason, right? So if we do not have a way to protect ourselves, we may not see, right? We may not get the freedom that we're looking for. Protection is the number one, should be our number one focus, right? Even though we've been talking about elevating our level of consciousness, that's what the people of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger just did. They elevated their level of consciousness. And they said, we don't need any so-called democratic election because we know democracy is entrism. Democracy is a way for the Westerner to penetrate and to control the internal politic of your country. They knew it. But today on TikTok, you will see a lot of black people screaming, oh, democracy is the best. Democracy, oh, this and that. No way. Because they haven't done the work. They have not studied. Go in Mali and Niger and Burkina Faso, tell them about going to the election. They're going to tell you to get the hell out of their land, right? They chose their leader. What's the problem with choosing a leader? Right? Why do we always have to do things in the model of Western paradigm? When are the Westerners gonna start doing things in the African paradigm? Why is it that always black people has to follow the model put into place by Western institution? Right? So the people of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger have done the work. They have elevated their level of consciousness. They have been serving as intelligence medium for many years within their country, monitoring the movement of Western military bases, Western people pretending to be coming to help them, right? They've been monitoring their movement, and they recorded, they videotaped, they recorded their communication, right? And they have the facts that those people were there to steal and to loot and to destroy. They have evidence. They have satellite evidence, recorded audio of showing basically the French people and NATO giving intelligence to the terrorists. The terrorists in the desert were being instructed, trained, and weapon being supplied to them by the same Westerner who came, right, with the goal of fighting against terrorism. They are the one instituting terrorism in all over Africa, and then they will come in as savior, pretending to be coming to help fight against terrorism that they have caused. That's the real face of non-black folk behavior. So we have to study what we call the anthroposociology of the non-black mind. We have to understand how their brain and behavior works, and that you should never trust them based on historical fact. You should never trust them. We can work together, we can do things together, but you should never trust any Western ideology. Never. Never ever. But we tend to make that mistake a lot, because we are getting fooled with the big smile, the voice, and things like that, you know. So the data are there, right? We have the data, and the data are mind-blowing. Now, I think we have been, man, the topic on melanin, we still have a lot, guys. We still have so much, on melanin. And I think in the next few days, we're going to speed up, right? We're going to stick to the slide and we're going to go slide by slide. So let me go back here and I will see where we should resume, because we've been breaking it down nicely. And after the topic on melanin, I wanted some suggestion here. Should we go to IFA? Should we go to debunking religion? Because I have mind-blowing information here on debunking, starting all the way with the Hyksos invasion of Kemet, the Shabaka stone, or we go to Ifa, or we basically get into debunking Moses, Solomon, David. We got the source, we got the element to debunk, to do this. Ifa for me, okay. Religion, okay. Religion, I have two religion. Right, I have two religion, one Ifa. Yeah, religion is going to be, whoa. Religion is going to be big. It's going to basically spread over, I can see this growing into 3 months. I'm telling you. The amount of information I have here on religion is just beyond, it's going to go over like 3 months, right? Because we're going to go all the way to the Chaldean, the Sabians, right? You can see one of the sources that I have here on debunking religion. This is Old English, right? This tells you how far back this book was written, right? This one tells you how far back this book was written, right? It's just Akhenaten, we're going to go back all the way to Akhenaten and basically debunking the so-called Moses. And Moses is going to be actually, I'm going to synchronize that, right? The good thing about religion stuff here is that it's not going to just stay within the Bible or debunking, okay, let me show you this. The good thing about the topic on religion, right, is this. Let me show you the slide. Where does it start? Is at the same time we will be debunking religion. We will be showing and presenting information on what it used to be and what scientific phenomena in nature actually describe a verse or a specific ideology, whether it is the Ark of the Covenant, right? Whether it's the cherubim. Remember the cherubim we did, right? It's nothing other than your inner self, the cherub, right? So that's the amazing thing about religion. So it's not going to be just sitting here and say this is false, this is false, this is false, but it's going to be basically studying the actual physical phenomena or natural occurring something within the brain or within the body that actually explains the phenomena, or something within the universe, right? The constellation, the planets, the sun is going to be basically mostly solar based, right? Or the cherubim, right? We did the cherubim already. The Saturn cross, the birth of the sun, right? The cherubim, the four sons of Horus, right? We broke this thing down. The cherub, right? So it's going to be scientific, religion based, but there will be a lot of science. I promise you. There will be a lot of science into it. Right? So that would be, I think that would be religion, right? And then I will be preparing the topic. And maybe we can start that topic on religion in maybe in the next 2 days, just to give us the time to close a little bit on melanin. Maybe if we can do a recap for 2 days and clear things up a little bit. Let me see here. This is melanin. Yeah, we have touched a lot on melanin, but we still have some stuff. But I think we can afford to take a break from it and dive into religion. Let me see here. Yeah, we still have this section here. We haven't looked into it. No, not this one. I think it was, yeah, the manipulation of the electromagnetic spectrum via field projected from human hands. Yeah, we can put that on the side for another topic. And yeah, we're gonna do religion. I mean, man, there's so much stuff on it. So much stuff on it. All right, so thank you, everybody, as always, for your time, your presence, right? These live is all about elevating our level of consciousness, right? And to be a better version of us and understanding how to deal with the people we are dealing with every day, right? It's not about hate, division, racism, discrimination. It's about exposing the truth and allowing each of us to be in a best position and to know how to deal with other races, right? With all respect, with all respect and no hate, but we just have to keep our boundaries, knowing what history has told us. We should never trust blindly anybody. Right? Just because someone is speaking with a lower voice or nice voice or smiling, it's not a receipt. It's not a receipt to earn a trust, right? So it must not be a receipt to earn a trust from anybody because that person looks nice or sound nice. You always have to be, remain focused and don't get fooled by anything. If you don't have the facts, you always have to critically analyze anything. Any information should not be taken for granted. We need to stop believing, because look at the etymology of the word believe. Believe means to accept something without any facts. Belief means to accept something without any proof. Which brains wants to do that? My brain do not want to do that. Belief means to accept something without any facts. Like I can say, starting from today, right? I can say that what is a simple example? I can say my screen is blue, but when you look through my screen, you see different color. But I'm telling you, believe what I'm saying. Don't believe what you see, right? And there will be some people who will really decide or choose to believe me that, he said his screen is blue, so I will believe him. Which brain want to do that, right? So a lot of black people are just doing that. They choosing to believe things that they do not understand, and they do not even want to do the work to search, to understand. No, they just want to believe by default, right? Because they are scared of the outcome, right? And fear is basically driven by ignorance. Fear is driven because we don't know, because we are afraid that we don't know what will come after. Then we are scared and we want to hide behind something that will shield us, as, oh, give your life to Jesus Christ and then you will be saved, you will have eternal life. People love it. But is it a fact? No, it's not. People have been lied to. Right? So, thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time. And I think I will be back at noon, right, during my lunch break, like we've been always been doing. Right? Yeah. So thank you, everybody. And yeah, so yeah, see you in a few hours. Right.